gamer friends, this is Dad. Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be doing what's somewhat of a new video here that I haven't done before, I don't think, here on the channel. So these are going to be three different games that I have gotten either creative ideas or just thought of some very interesting challenges. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first game, for those who can't tell basically on the background loading screen, or screen here, that I'm on 7 Days to Die. So for this challenge, for those who really want to test themselves here as zombie killers and more, if you're one of those people that are kind of wanting to go from easy to really hard to improve here, so let me go ahead and go over the settings. So originally, how I would start the challenge off is go to Scavenger, and then for zombies, for the classic version of it, we'll have them never run. Enemy aggression can be normal. I'll explain why I would have these here. Time and daylight length will set to 18. Then modded options you can do this however you want. I feel like it would be this one first, and then we would bring the enemy's memory down, which I'll also explain. Now, this could be optional part, but I'll explain it all here in a bit. That we'll leave alone. That right there, and we'll make loot a percentage of loot, airdrop for cycle. Okay, and then we'll leave this alone because this is doing about pre survival. So let me explain. So standard options, we'll have it on easy, and you can do this, day by day, or wait every 7 days. For every horde night, you can boost your difficulty settings, so things can be a little bit more harder. And if you're kind of wanting to, I don't know how the best way to do this, like kind of make it like where zombies are like evolving, you could have it like where you have your normal typical zombies that never run to like to default, which for that means they run during the night, and then you can kind of say like they're always running once you feel like you got to a difficulty where you think you can manage it. In your aggression, so this means that zombies will be normal, and if you kind of want to go with the mutation type of zombies, then you can go feral, which means they are very aggressive. It can sense you even through walls, and they will run depending about if you on your zombie running settings. And then daylight length. Now this is how much you have of the sun before it gets night, I believe, and then the rest is like all night. And what you could do on this part, when you are making things more difficult, little by little, you can start turning it down a notch, which is all this stuff is what I kind of do here, and it will give you less time of the day, like less daytime and more nighttime, to go out and gather supplies and stuff like that. Now we go to modded things. You can eventually just make it where instead of just losing like a few items on your tool belt, you can lose your backpack, or you can have it where you drop everything, and then if you really feel like you're never going to die or whatever, then delete all. Now, enemy memory. Now as things get difficult, you can increase this to make it more difficult, where you're always kind of getting sensed. And then if you're kind of giving the first day to be easy, more have it disabled, but after the first day you would have it very low, and then after a while, I feel like you should, I would say either a few days or at least like every 7 days increase it, because I feel like the zombie apocalypse would start off with no zombies, and then like afterwards, like the progression of zombies would slowly increase. But you know, that's however you want to tell your thing if you want to do them. Now you have block, durability, which you could always increase this too if you want things to be harder to break, and zombies will do less damage to blocks, but it will make your mining much slower. You know, that's up to you though. This is the number of days for loot to respawn if there are no players around. Now you can make it go up higher, making it take much longer, or if you want some realism at the end of it, after you kind of go through these, you can make it where it's disabled, where it's not, which would make sense, because if you loot somewhere, they wouldn't really regain loot again. Percentage of starting. I feel like if you were just starting the apocalypse, there would be like tons of loot, but I feel like it would eventually like decrease to where. But, and then as far as airdrops go, for me, I feel like the first time you get like the first few airdrops during like the starting, and then like slowly it like progresses longer and longer until eventually you don't no longer have it. You can kind of, if you, whenever you do take it to 0, you can kind of make it say like the person that was finally playing got eaten by zombies, or you know. And then including with like the daylight thing that I was talking about, this is talking about like the full day, so you could eventually decrease this to 10 if you, once you, because this here you have like more than an hour or so to do whatever. 60 minutes, 50, you get it, and more. So it kind of will get like more and more pretty much speed, and then it's eventually going to turn into like a speed run, where you're going to have to quickly get supplies, hurry up for, add some chaos into the mix. Now this too, you can really depend too on you as the player for these. These are optional. If you want the airdrops to be marked on your map, then you can always leave those on. But if you're going for realism, you could always turn this off. The same thing with the unknown mini bike icons that show up on your thing too. And in this normal challenge, I would say that cheat mode would be off, because it's for survival, but you know. And that is all I really have for you as far as and that has been my challenge there for 7 Days to Die. And now let's move on to the next game 2, which is, of course, as you all can tell, a very popular game, Skyrim. Now this one really isn't a challenge, it's really more of just like adding basic to your storytelling here of a character. Now you can go to Riften to change your character's looks. It does cost 1,000, which I know that to some people might be expensive, might be a little bit of a waste thing, but if you want your story in a more detailed way, this is it. So, okay, let me go ahead and start off with the first thing here. So, for bodies wise, if you're kind of like wanting them to kind of like show the progression to like them being like a warrior or whatever. Okay, so I guess it really depends about how you want to tell your story. So, at first you would kind of start them off like really skinny, especially if you're trying to go for like, you know, them being like very poor to like a beggar to somebody, and you could add like dirt for that too. if you are wanting it. So I'm just gonna kind of go over details of everything. So like how it would work is like every 5 or so levels or so you move up the the weight thing to kind of show like they've been earning muscle or however you want to look at it. And I guess if you're doing like the certain characters too, you can kind of make it to like where they're like maybe after they've been in prison for so long they started getting a tan like this, and then maybe a darker tan, you know, however you want to tell it. It's your story. And let me make sure I'm not skipping over anything. You can be a male, female, it doesn't really matter. The same thing still can apply. Complex is good if you're like wanting to show like your character like eventually aging, which can be kind of difficult on certain races like Argonians and Khajiits. I really don't know about orcs, but yeah, a dirt, and then you know, if you want to do the bigger thing or just show that they've been in the war more to add some more details, that's up to you. For scars, you can always add these in. You could say that you could always add that on after like they fought a bear or something, and say that you know he got this claw mark on his face from when he fought the bear. And you can always add like warrior paint too if you're if your character wants to, if you think that would fit your character in some way. But now now as far as like making your characters looks, it doesn't matter. You can do however you want with it. You can make them look really cool, really silly, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Same thing with like, you know, their eyes. Pretty much anything leading up to this point, you can make them look however you want. Now for hair wise, if you're really wanting to go from like a beggar to, let's say maybe a hero, I'm trying to look for him, you could go with like this bald look and no facial hair or anything, and then so for the hair wise, you could kind of make it look like their hair is starting to slowly grow in. I'm trying to find one that makes it look like their hair is coming in like that short, and then eventually like find one where it's kind of medium to however long you want their hair to be. Like, I know there's a certain hairstyle I usually use for the Nords. Just trying to find it. Well, anyway, who? Like, like this one, for example. And same kind of story thing if you want to go with, like, their facial hair. I know Argonians, you can't do it, things I do for Argonians is that you can, I guess, make it look like they're finally growing their horns, and you know the feathers if you want them to kind of go for like one of those prehistoric dinosaur looking looks. For orcs, you can make them look like they're growing spikes and stuff more on their eyebrows and head more, or make their teeth look like they're growing big for orcs wise. And then yeah, I know it doesn't really do. And you can have your character eventually look like this, I guess, if that's something that you're interested in. And of course, you know, it doesn't really matter like your build or more. This is just another way to tell storytelling if you like. So now let's get on to the final and third game here. Here we are, Pro Gamer Friends, with the last game here on this vid, which is The Sims 4, which is the reason why I saved this one for last is because it's kind of a combination between both the ideas of kind of like a challenge and I guess somewhat storytelling, and others from both the two other games, even though I know they're all completely different. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, obviously I know that not everyone's going to own all the packs and stuff, so some of this stuff may be optional for, you know, some of you simmers out there. But before I get into those settings, there are a few different ways that you could kind of play The Sims. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways, don't get me wrong here, so let's go ahead and, you know what, I'm going to use this sim as for like an example type of thing, and I'm just going to go ahead and like everything here. Actually, you know what, I already have a sim like that, so never mind. So there's the, you know, your sim self way that you can do it. I mean, my guy doesn't look entirely like me as far as face wise. If you saw an actual photo of me, it looks completely different than what you would be seeing right here. But, and then there's, obviously, if you want to do kind of like, you know, you're kind of give like your Sims homeless, and I'd say this one is more like if you kind of want to show like details of growth. But anyway, this is Jim Owens, who is my homeless Sim. Now he is, you know, fat and homeless. And then what you could do eventually is, like, as he's progressed and kind of like earn money to, you know, certain stuff, you can make it where he has, you know, better, nicer clothing and more, and make his hair shorter if you want it to look like he's hygiene and more. Oh, which I'm not gonna go. And then, or you can just have like a random sim, or if you don't feel like making a sim, you can find one in the gallery, or just look up one of the pre-existing sims that you can just play as. Now, some things too that you can do to make it a little bit more interesting is you could put their pronouns if you want. You could put their walking type. So you got their default one, you know, musical. I don't really know what the names of these would be. This is like, if you want to make them look business type, I guess like kind of like swag. The more feminine type of walk style, the tough guy type of walk style, the fairy dresser, maybe like just lazy walk. And this, you know, if you want to send that looks tired all the time when walking, or, you know, down, I guess. Your more energized looking sim, and then of course if you want to make like the creeper looking sim with, or the vampire. Now, besides from those wise, another thing that you can do, depending about obviously the packs that you have, you could eventually change, you know, make your sims like brother, siblings, or whatever, and you could give them like the close, distant, difficult, or jokesters type of thing. But, and then same thing with etc. And also traits here. You can give your sim like your some of your traits that you think that would be you. For like me, for an example, loner, geek, and music lover. Another one that I could also add for myself is probably dog lover and animal enthusiast. But this isn't about me, this is about you guys. So, and then, not those. Aspirations can be really good depending on what kind of build you kind of wanting to, or challenge that you're kind of wanting your sim to go for. Like business savvy could really help you in the Rex to Riches type of challenge thing. Or athletic if you're wanting to kind of make it show that your sim is, you know, trying to get fit, or, you know, whatever you want to tell for your story. Your dislikes, you know, can be whatever you want. You could really make them as realistic or as goofy as you want to from any of these options. Now, another way that you could do it is for options here as far as gameplay wise. Just get a full autonomy off, so like when Sims react to events in order to perceive their own lives. I have this on. I do have it disabled autonomy for selected Sims, so that way if I just want to play with one specific Sim, I can deal with their needs, and then the other Sims can do their needs when I'm not playing as them. For auto age played household, I only have it for only active household. So if I'm not playing it, because if I am having multiple households, I do not want them all to just age up and die right away. I do have this on long. I also have auto age unplayed households off to kind of help with that as well. With the Sims count maximum, which 150 is recommended, I think 200 is the limit, and then unlimited. On the PS4, I would not recommend probably doing this, because I mean, as far as this, because I know on there, depending about how many packs you own, it can be whatever. I do have all of these turned on just to add some additional gameplay. You can turn, you know, neighborhood stories on if you want. If you own the werewolf pack, you can make it where the lunar cycle length, I have it for 24 days. And same thing with seasons, I have it long because I wanted it to be kind of like realistic, so that so other ways you can play it. And I'm just looking here to see, you can kind of do the same thing here with that as well, along with the rest. And also, too, you could do certain lot traits to help you or kind of challenge yourself too in certain challenges or households. So you can try making your own house, just live in a house or an apartment or whatever that is already currently in The Sims, or just download one off of Gallery too if you want to kind of make your world look a little bit more unique and more, and tell your story that way. Or there's definitely a lot you can have your Sim, you know, be like a family person, or just live on their own, or just only have pets, and more. So it definitely can, you know, there's a lot of different challenges you can do. I am currently doing one where I start off with like a very small house with really nothing in it, to eventually like it growing to being like an optional family house, or just additional rooms that I could use for whatever I feel like my Sim would do for activities and more. And try out different jobs, different traits that normally you usually wouldn't work with, like I've said in How Not to Get Bored in The Sims, and the retake of it too, which you can all go find if you want some more information about it. More so, yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it up here of some creative ideas. Oh, another thing too, before I finish the outro here, is just that another thing too that I like to do, since I own seasons, I do like to add holidays. Now, I do leave the holidays that they do have in there, and I kind of add a little bit more to make it feel more like a holiday too, like with Love Day, making it where like if your Sim isn't really the lovey type, they can just watch a love thing and kind of complete it that way. Or trying to think of anything else, or like if your family like watches sports on Thanksgiving, you can do that too, add that to it. I like to add the mailbox and fences some more to make it show that they really do it, and kind of make room for Christmas tree too, and make it where they have the days off so you can really enjoy the holiday, plus along with the other events too that happen in the world too. But that is going to be it. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you all think down in the comments, and I'll catch you all in the next one. I hope you all are having an amazing day. If not, just note that I'm glad that you're here. You were amazing, and of course, as always, I hope you enjoy.